You are listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy Macero and Shelagh Maychek.
Hi everyone, welcome to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with your host, myself, Kristy, and Shelagh Maychek.
Hello.
Today, spilling the tea with us is world traveler, mountain hiker, and how does he have so much energy, home inspector, Daniel Fedosenko, and our caffeine meme enthusiast homeowner, Jess McLean.
Hey.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Surprise, no one knows how I'm going to introduce them. So, okay, so home inspectors, one of the pillars of due diligence when purchasing a home. We've had years of multiple offers where people are actually unable to have a home inspection because if they put that in their contracts, they're not going to get accepted. In an attempt to make their offer more desirable from the seller, which can obviously pose a challenge for you, Daniel.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So last year, according to the survey from Porch, 88% of buyers used a home inspector for their most recent home purchase. And 86% of those buyers who used a home inspection said that their inspector identified at least one problem that needed to be addressed.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree.
Yeah, you're like, yes, use an inspector. And there are some common myths about home inspections, okay, and home inspectors, and this is why it's so great to have you on here. So, for example, sometimes buyers think that home inspectors work for the agent.
Yeah,
Which is that. They're in cahoots with your realtor.
Oh, it's your inspector. No.
Like, no, we do not own them.
Yeah.
And also that the home inspector would ever help a buyer negotiate money off of a price of a home, okay? And that's really not their wheelhouse. To kind of stay in their lane, which is great. And a lot of people think that home inspectors are not needed for new construction.
That's a big one.
That's
Definitely.
a big one.
Super common. Yeah.
We come across that pretty often, I would say. And we've actually had brand new places where they've detected major water leaks and
Oh, yeah.
all that kind of stuff. So, and you're like, I've seen some stuff, which is why we're happy to have you. But we find that home inspections are a very important part of home purchasing. It allows buyers the ability to get an in-depth look at the house and see what they need to do when they move in. Because ultimately, it's building a to-do list of things you need to do when you move in.
It's like a house health report.
Yeah. Otherwise, maybe it's something that is something that might affect somebody's safety. That would be a concern. Or it could be something that has an active water leak. That's another thing that we really deep dive in. If there's any of those two elements where either the homeowner would be put at risk, the buyer would be put at risk, we have to let them know. Even if it's something small, like oh, the smoke detector doesn't work. How would you feel if you didn't let the homeowner know?
Yeah.
Right? Like you gotta it's a team effort here.
Totally.
So Shelagh, before we get into spilling the tea with these two folks, I gotta ask you, did you use a home inspector when you purchased?
It was a really crazy market when I bought my last home, so I couldn't have that in my offer. However, I did still get a home inspection. It was just I had already paid for the place. So on possession day, before moving in any boxes, anything else, we had the home inspector come check out the house.
So that's kind of unique. A lot of people think, okay, well, I'm going to buy it, I'm not going to have it, but then I'm going to get it after I move in and kind of check out the house, which was awesome because you did find things that you wanted to fix, right? Yeah, and it's not like you could ever go back, right? You can't go back on anybody because it's always buyer beware. But it's really good that you did actually get one done anyway because then you would know what to do.
Yeah.
And what was the most, as a real estate agent, like we've obviously seen some things, what is the most memorable home inspection you've ever been at?
We were selling a top floor condo, beautiful vaulted ceilings. We had an accepted offer and the buyers had a home inspection. And we're like, nothing's going to come up. It's fine. The buyer's agent calls us and sends us a photo, a little snapshot, because it's not a moisture meter, but it's almost like a heat sensor.
Like the thermal imaging, you probably know what that's called.
And on the ceiling, there was a perfect circle of a cold spot. And we're like, that is so strange. And the home inspector's like, that's water pooling somewhere in the ceiling. Wow. So we told our sellers right away. They let Strata know, and they had found a pinhole leak in the roof, and they were able to go up there, patch it, get rid of all the water. And had they not been selling their home, they never would have had an inspection. One day they would have come home to their ceiling being very, very wet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. I had a home inspection done when I purchased, 100 years ago, it feels like. And the home inspector was only able to see 2/3 of the house because the bottom third was a basement suite and there was a hoarder in there.
Wow.
I could not tell, like there was no smoke detectors. It was like a fire hazard waiting to happen. But you couldn't tell like where the stairs led upstairs. You couldn't really orient yourself in the basement because of all the stuff. So she obviously, suffered from some obviously mental health issues. It wasn't like, it wasn't, gross or smelly or anything like that. It was just she had a lot of stuff. She liked to collect things. So, and we're talking like every windowsill, everything. And strangely enough, so the home inspector, he ended up actually only charging us 2/3 the price of the home inspection because he literally couldn't see the basement.
He's like, I think it's there.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah, it's down here, but I can't really see it because like
Asterisks.
he couldn't really do anything. He couldn't test any of the receptacles. He couldn't run any of the appliances. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was one of those situations where unfortunately it is what it is. But I really did appreciate him going around the house, and even now, I've been in my house now for about 8 years. I would love to get my home inspected again. I feel like people should have to do this every 5 to 7 years, maybe even for their home insurance.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been up in my attic. I would love it if Daniel would come have a look in the attic, because I haven't been up there. Like,
You check it out.
yeah, I hope it's good. I'm not going up there. There's spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
That's, you signed up for that, not me. Okay, so we're going to get into some questions here. Jess, the first one is for you. Have you ever had a home inspection when you're purchasing?
Yeah. Yes.
You did, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting, because we were buying in a different time in a different market, so we were able to write that into our offer.
Nice.
To have that in for all of them. But interesting was that my townhouse, I was advised that I didn't need one because it was covered by strata, but I did it anyway for my own benefit because I was kind of on my own for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was worried that I wouldn't know how to do simple things, and so the home inspector actually kind of walked me through some things that I, as a single woman, I wouldn't have maybe known how to do, and it was super helpful. That's actually why I did
Yeah.
it.
So there's your water shut off.
Yeah, the water shut off,
Yeah,
right?
that's a big one.
Yeah, even to point out little things like water shut off or
How to change the filter in my furnace.
the filter
Yeah.
in the
It was
furnace.
such a small thing, but he was checking, so he showed
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. It's
Mine was
key.
installed backwards and upside down when I got my house. My home inspector was like, "This isn't right. Just get a new one." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's important. So it's interesting that you're advised not to get one for a townhouse. And of course, we know that stratas do take care of common property, but you're liable for stuff on the inside. So if there's a
Yeah.
problem in there, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Your
Right.
bathtub, your insurance.
Yeah, or the big one is leaking toilets. I find
Yeah.
that sucker that can go everywhere at once.
And
Water,
carburetors.
right? Everyone says the home inspection's not expensive. A water leak is, or a plumber's
Yeah.
not expensive. A water leak is.
Yeah.
So that would be that situation for sure. And when you sold your home, did you sell a home or was it just 2 purchases?
Yeah, no,
You sold?
I've had a few.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've sold a few times. Did you have home inspectors come through your property when you were selling, and what was that experience like?
I have had them come through, and for me it wasn't an issue because I was kind of prepared for what to come. I had done the work on my house, and I guess I would have wanted to know if there was something
Yeah.
Right.
that was wrong as
Yeah.
a seller too, because you don't want to sell somebody.
Yeah.
a
You're probably
broken
kind of
house.
curious. You're like, did anything come up? I kind of want to know.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
good. Sometimes buyers don't share those inspection reports with
Oh,
sellers, but if there is something bad enough, they will, which I think is good.
Yeah.
Also, my ex-husband liked to do home renos by himself without permits on occasion. So,
Okay.
so I wanted to make sure
DIY.
so
You know-
I want to make sure he did it right, which
Yeah.
luckily
Yeah.
he did, and he's actually really good at that stuff.
Yeah,
That's
our,
good.
Our we do get homeowners that want to fix things themselves, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can get offended at a home inspector coming through because
Yeah.
they'll want to follow the person around and be like, oh, what are you? And it's like,
Yeah.
go away.
I did this way because it's better, and
Yeah.
or I found it more useful like this, and we're like, okay, we just have to still check it.
Yeah, we still have to check everything.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Daniel, over to you. How many years have you been doing home inspections for?
Well, I've been inspecting properties since 2006 now.
Okay, so a little while.
In home inspection, yeah.
Yeah,
And
great.
Just
prior
a
to
minute.
that, since 1998, so
Okay.
Wow.
quite a bit of experience.
That's
Okay,
great.
So you've done quite a few. How many inspections per day do you try to book?
Well, in a perfect world, you can do typically, depending on if it's a house, either 2 houses, 2 townhouses or 3 condos
Oh, right,
a day.
because the time slots per, okay.
Yeah, just in terms of time frame, right? Houses take longer, right?
Right.
So, typically in a perfect world, 2, potentially 3 a day, if time permits. And of course, those might be, longer days, 10 or 12 hours.
So on that note, how long does it take to do like a condo or do a townhouse or a single family home? Like what's the kind of time range that you try to block for those?
Yeah, to do it properly, with a review of the report on site for a standard size house, it usually takes about 3 hours for an inspector that knows what he's doing and, report writing and so on. Townhouses, 2 to 2.5 hours. And condos, typically 1.5 hours to 2 hours.
Right. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, golden question. What are the limitations to a homeowner's abilities? Because some people have, perceptions that, you can see through walls and stuff. Like, what are the limitations to it?
Well, there are, limitations to an inspection. Basically, it's everything that we can see. So if there's couches in the way or cabinets in the way, furniture or snow on a roof, there's, we can't obviously view that, right? We, do take apart the electrical box to view that, the furnace cover off and so on. And, if there's storage on a crawl space hatch, typically, we'll go to the effort of moving things so we can get in there to take a look at stuff, right? We don't tear out closet organizers to be able to get up an attic hatch.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that would be hours of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there are some limitations. And of course, we can't predict the future. So one of the important things is scanning with an infrared camera, because today we can capture, a hidden water leak that you can't see, because often water leaks can take months before it will become apparent. So if you don't use an infrared camera, there's no sign or symptom of a water leak. There's nothing to report.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're just using a moisture meter, where if you use the camera, you can scan the place very efficiently, and then there's something there,
A cold
like you
spot.
mentioned.
Yes, like
check
that's
with
a-
your moisture meter.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and the same thing with plumbing. We document with pictures and so on that there's no water leaks currently, with things with the water running and so forth. But again, things happen. Maintenance occurs, so it can leak in three months. So we can't predict the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Dishwasher breaks down. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's
I feel like
I
it's
think
one of
it's
the
like-
common ones.
Yeah.
It's almost like
I was
the
gonna
asterisk
say,
is like
everybody
life,
just like,
life
oh.
happens.
Yeah.
It's like we can't, like life will still happen.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that hot water tanks are one of those things that if you talk about it, it listens to you? If you're like,
Yes.
oh, this
Every
hot water
time.
tank's getting a little bit old, it's like, shh, be quiet.
Yes.
It'll hear you.
It'll hear you and it will break down right
Yeah.
after you mention its age. It gets
Yeah.
very fussy.
Right when you're trying to have a shower and your kids are in the bathtub or something,
there's
like
gonna
no more
be
hot water.
things.
Maybe on that note, could we change the subject?
Yeah.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna move on.
You're gonna have to sage the hot water tank.
Well, ultimately, home inspections are super important, and inspectors have a duty to tell you the things that they come across. But again, they can't be moving that cabinet. They can't be moving that picture off the wall or that rug that's maybe covering the floor.
Yeah.
So you hope that people are not hiding anything on you. Of course, sometimes that happens. I'm not going to spoil any other episodes. But we're going to get into some scenarios. Jess, are you ready to spill that tea?
All right, I'm in.
Okay, here we go. You're selling your home and the buyer of the property has sent over a list the length of your arm for repairs. Okay. Yeah, I can already see it on your face. Has this happened to you? You're like, yeah, I'm scarred.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
happened. Okay,
okay.
It's good. So it's everything from tightening the outlet cover to power washing the inside of the garage and swapping out light bulbs. Okay.
Extra.
In addition to the list, they're asking for a reduction in price, money to come off of their original offer, because the condition of the carpet, which was seen upon viewing, is in an amount that far exceeds what it would cost to replace it. So say the carpet only costs really in real life $5,000, but they're asking for like 12. They want $12,000 worth of money. Plus they want you to fix the light bulb and tighten up the outlet cover.
Yeah.
What is your initial impression when that kind of stuff gets sent over? Because you got to remember, like, the agent has to show you all parts of the deal. So you're going to get this addendum rolling into your inbox, and how's that going to make you feel to start?
Well, it kind of makes me think that they're trying to take advantage, I guess, is my instinct is I'm being taken advantage of, and I'm not going to want to deal with that client, like that purchaser.
Yeah, so it's like
sets you off.
It's like a bad feeling right away.
It's like right away you're feeling judged and taken advantage of, really, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, totally, 100%. Because it's kind of annoying,
It's
right?
like they're hitting you from all sides. Like, oh, here's this really long list of things, and we want money now.
Yeah, almost like you have to pick and choose what you're going to do just to be agreeable.
Yeah.
Right? What about people who ask for money off of things that are apparent upon viewing? Like if
I
they
feel
knew,
like if they already knew, then they should have had that conversation with my realtor in the first place. So it kind of feels like you're coming, after the fact. So I don't know. Like in my experience, when I'm trying to sell my house, I'm already putting my best foot forward. I've already done what I'm able to do. You get it staged, you maybe replace carpets, or you've pointed it out to your realtor. So it kind of feels like that would, I don't know, make me feel crappy.
Yeah, and that's
sour taste in my mouth.
And that's why we want the homeowner experience on the podcast, because no one ever asks the homeowner how they would feel. It's always realtors talking about how they would react to a scenario, but ultimately we have to, like, it's great that realtors want to act however they want to act, but we have to abide by our client's instruction, and we have to bring everything to them. So when these addendums come in from a home inspection report, which are, and just to be clear, Daniel's reports, they're so clear and concise, and you can take sections of them and show the realtor the exact problem, and it's
not judgment, it's fact.
Yeah, totally, yes,
Right?
absolutely. Whereas when you're starting to ask for money, and so I had one of these inspection lists that came over. I was selling my parents' place, and it was a realtor. He's not at our office anymore, but one of the items on the list was to tighten up an outlet cover. And my mom, like, lost her mind. She was like, we're not going to sell to them anymore, because that's the reaction. It's like, and we've had other situations where it's like, oh, tighten the handrail. And I remember calling the realtor being like, do you think you could tighten the handrail? And the realtor was like, I was so embarrassed to send this over, because ultimately the little tiny items, they don't really need to be discussed, I feel. Right? Like, I feel like you could level with someone and say, hey, listen, I'll get you a light bulb. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like don't worry about the light bulb. Let's not ask the seller to do that. Let's really talk about what needs to happen here. Right?
And I got to say, it may make me question recommending that realtor.
Right.
In the future as well, too. Right? Like, if
they can't manage their clients.
Like something small like that, or definitely I'd be like, oh, Kristy was great, but watch out for that
This
guy.
person sent me a 4-page list of things.
I thought it was okay.
You're not going to
love
Christmas
to tell
card.
that like nasty. Everybody loves to tell the bad story, right?
That's why we have the podcast. Everyone likes the dirty. We're here. It's the dirty on real estate.
Yeah.
And so I have to ask Daniel, have you ever been asked or bribed to lie about the condition of a house?
Once.
Okay.
Since 2006, and the realtor offered me money.
Whoa. Okay, so I'm just gonna remind everyone we never name names or anything like that.
Yeah. Anonymous.
But okay, so you probably know in your head who that person is. You're not going to say their name, but you probably didn't forget that, did you?
I don't forget it, because it's only happened once, and I've never worked with them again, and I don't work with people like that, because that's not the way I run. It's
unethical.
My business.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's great. I wasn't sure what you were going to answer to that. I have more questions for you. I'm excited about these now. Can you tell when a buyer is getting high anxiety or afraid regarding the aspects of the report that you are giving?
Yeah, definitely. As a very experienced inspector and in tune with people, I like to think, I can definitely read the body language and the questions and so on from the clients. So definitely, yes.
It's a bit of an art for you, is it not? Like to kind of relay that message without totally freaking them out, like being kind of impartial.
Yeah, exactly. I like to put things into perspective for the age of this house or the houses in this neighborhood. These are things that you're going to expect. This is regular maintenance items, and pretty much I could inspect any house in this neighborhood, and they're all going to be very, very similar.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
That's nice.
Makes me feel better already.
Yeah, I feel better about whatever inspection you're talking about.
Yeah.
Have you ever significantly advised against a home? Like, it's to the point where you're like, wow, this family, I can't I just can't support this purchase? Like, have you ever come across something like that where it really hits you in the heart?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll give you one quick example.
Please.
What I found is with clients is you can't judge a book by its cover.
Right.
And there was one house in particular. It was two ladies that came to review the report with me. And, this house is should have been just blown up.
Oh,
right?
bulls are bait.
But again, I went over the report with them, and this and that, and this and that. And through the conversation, what I found out is these two ladies, they buy homes and they fix them up and they flip them and they sell them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So from that point forward, I never, formed that preconception in my mind about who's buying this home. They could be a contractor, they could be a handyman or handy woman, or two women buying and fixing up and flipping homes. So, but yeah, you do come across it.
Yeah.
But I found is that, again, I don't know who I'm working with. So I give them the facts and I let them know and I let them decide.
Yeah.
Love it.
Have you ever come across a property that was in such a condition that you refused to do the inspection?
Well, there was one house.
Okay, I love these stories because he's like
I know.
one, and he's like getting. It's like
I wanna see that house.
he's confessing right now.
There was one house, and I did the inspection. But before I went into the home, once I got to the doorway, it smelled horrible.
Oh, I've been in that house.
Horrible. Okay, the air was so thick you could cut it with a knife. But I put on my respirator.
Oh, just to go
My
in the front door.
Full respirator I put on before I went inside the house, and there were people living in the home. They were home while I was there, and I minimized my touching. Remember, it's a visual inspection. Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
so but they had a lot of dogs,
Okay.
and the more I went through this home, I saw feces
Oh.
throughout the home.
Oh, that's sad.
okay.
Okay, so again, I didn't touch anything. I left my shoes on.
I was gonna say, have you ever burned your clothes after something like that, or like?
Well, I mean, they didn't touch anything. Okay.
Very careful.
My
Booty
shoes.
covers, yeah.
I was careful to step. But most guys probably would have walked away, but at the same time, it wouldn't have been professional. But I did put on my mask, my respirator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were home. I wonder probably what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But
But look at this guy with
but
his
yeah.
respirator.
So
weird.
Yeah, what a weirdo.
Yeah.
So myself, I haven't walked off an inspection.
Okay.
But I have prepared myself for those occasions.
I
Yeah.
I love all these
Okay.
stories. I really do. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna go back to Jess for a little bit here. Have you ever, like, when you're moving into a place, have you ever asked the seller to fix any items in the home? Has there ever been anything that really needed to pay attention to? Can you think of
No,
anything?
I don't have any great stories like that. And definitely, I could tell you some ghost stories, but that's a whole other thing. But no, it's nothing like that where I've been like, I need something changed.
Right.
Because I've always purchased houses that I knew needed work.
Okay.
To try and get basically build equity into my investments.
Sweat equity. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So I've
Okay,
always
so-
done that on purpose. So I'm kind of with my inspections, I was seeking that information to be like, what am I
getting
what
into?
I'm thinking, what I'm actually
Yeah.
getting in for. So no, I'm not asking you to change anything.
Yeah.
I've already, in my mind, know what I'm going to pay for the house. So it's not going to change my offer, but it's definitely going to make sure that I have the right information.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
You
So
can
there's
adjust your budget. You're like, okay, this year I'm going to do this and
Yes.
tackle this item the
Yeah.
next year and this one first. Yeah.
And that's great because, like, so that shows me you're not buying a new home. You don't expect it to be brand new.
No.
Like, you kind of like, you're setting your own expectations, kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. Okay. So in that regard, I guess, have you ever moved into something and found out that there was an issue after you moved in that was not addressed on your home inspection? That's a tricky one, right?
The first home that I purchased in the Lower Mainland, one thing that we kind of weren't prepared for in the renovation, and that the inspector probably wouldn't have realized, is that the previous homeowner owned a gun store, like sold firearms, and so the entire basement he had made extra safe with rebar that was in all of the
Security bars,
windows,
yeah.
but like
Oh.
all the way down into the foundation.
Oh.
So we had planned on making it a basement suite,
And he made it a bunker.
and he made it a bunker.
Oh
So-
my goodness.
Yeah,
so
so that was
zombie
fun.
apocalypse,
Yes,
you're
yeah.
safe.
That house would have been solid for sure.
I was picturing the ones that you just screw in on the outside or
No,
the
it
inside or something.
all the way
No.
down into the
Wow.
and they'd put an extra foundation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Wow.
which was very responsible as a
Yeah.
gun store
extremely,
owner.
extremely
Yes.
responsible.
Safe storage.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and what a great example of something that there's no way a home inspector would have been able to find that.
No.
So
Yeah.
that's super cool. Okay, okay, I love this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, Daniel, back to you.
Oh boy.
Okay, here we go.
You got me concerned now.
No, these are all good ones. These are all good
Yeah.
ones. How often do you get contacted after clients have moved into a house to come take a second look?
Yeah, good question. It is actually extremely rare.
Okay.
Very, very rare, because we are very meticulous and we've learned a lot over the course of time as to the most common complaints that you get.
Okay.
So we do a very good job with our documenting with pictures and report writing and making sure people understand things. So it's very, very rare. It might be if we do say 600 to 1,000 inspections a year, it might be 3 to 4 times a year.
Okay, that's pretty.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
And out of those 3 to 4 times a year, probably about 3 of those 4 times, there's no validity to the actual concern. I don't like to call it a complaint because it's a concern
Right.
until it's actually addressed with the report or when we go there. And those 1 out of 4 times, it might be a difference of opinion.
Okay.
And like I tell folks, is that we're human beings.
Yeah.
We have an insurance, we have coverage. If it's clearly our fault and it's under the cost of our deductible, we just pay for it.
Okay, interesting.
If
Okay.
it's a difference of opinion and that sort of thing, then of course that has to be determined by our insurance agent
Okay.
if there's any liability.
Okay, that's great. So now we've got a home inspector that knows how to communicate, provides an awesome report, and has insurance coverage. I love it. That's a great answer. Thank you. Have you ever had any surprise animal encounters?
Yes.
What happened there?
And
Raccoons?
again-
Raccoons?
Like you say, you cannot judge a book by its cover. Like I tell people, I don't care if you're buying a $500,000 house or a $2 million home. You don't know. There was an inspection I did in South Surrey, $2 million house, 10 years old, and the people were like, the agents are like, professionals live here. Well, what does that mean, really, right? What do professionals live here?
People with
Right?
jobs live here. Okay.
Or do they have jobs or are they just professionals?
Clear as mud. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Sorry.
I'm doing my inspection, and I'm seeing all these funny stains on the ceiling on the top floor. I mean, you're observant, working professionals. You've got to be able to notice that these stains all over the place. So
Right.
anyhow, I go to take a look in the attic, and the first thing I see is raccoons all over the place.
Oh, my goodness.
And they cause a lot of damage.
They do.
And there was feces and chewing and this and that everywhere.
Oh
Oh.
my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so again, $2 million home, it was a $25,000 remediation cost.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
You're going to want to know about that, right?
Yeah.
Right, Jess?
Yeah.
Right? So,
They made themselves cozy.
I love
Yes.
raccoons. They're like cute but feisty, like us. Huh?
Yeah.
No, just kidding. I do love raccoons, but they got teeth on them like a chainsaw. They can be very scary.
Yeah.
And they can do a ton of damage.
A lot of
So
damage.
did you poke your head up and you're like, oh, like,
Well, I mean, I'm very slow to react in life, right? So, mind you, if you go to the movies with me and there's a scary show, and I'll jump out of my seat, right?
fair enough. Like nothing scares you in
But
the house.
they didn't spook me or anything like that, right? But they caused a lot of damage, and the people still bought the house.
Right.
The realtors did their thing. They
Right.
loved the home. They loved the neighborhood. Again, it was just dealt with, right?
Okay, I love it.
So yeah,
Professionals did
story.
professional things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Professional raccoons. Okay, we're going to get into scenario number 2. Jess, are you ready?
All right.
Okay, here we go. You're selling and your home has an accepted offer. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You left town for the weekend, and when you returned, the home inspector they used left the electric baseboard heater on. The backside of your couch is now discolored from all of the heat as it backs right up against the heater. You never normally turn it on. And your home is $1 million degrees. Okay.
First, it makes me think of the time that I tried to reattach the heater in my house and almost electrocuted my almost husband. I was about to get married.
Oh, no.
For that same exact reason.
Life insurance?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, no. I'm totally kidding.
Yeah.
What would you expect to have happen here? So if you come home, that couch is discolored, the heater was left on, mistakes happen, it's 1,000 degrees, you're like, hot flash? No, it's not a hot flash.
It's the house.
It's the house.
Yeah.
What would you kind of expect? Because, I mean, your hydro's going to be up, your, like, what would you kind of expect? And your couch is damaged.
Well, I would hope that if damaged, I would probably reach out to my realtor or the home inspector and ask what they could do for any cost damage to me.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of reasonable, but I don't know. I think that it would be a reasonable expectation to ask that. But also mistakes happen. So I guess, I would hope that, in my experience, the realtor has been there or I've been there for the inspection. So I would hope that there'd be, somebody to catch that before it got to that stage. So
Totally.
yeah, I don't know if that's a good answer to your
No,
question.
it's totally great. We've talked about that before, about coming back and checking it. I had a situation with a client where the inspection, sure enough, the inspector left it on. The clients came back the next day. I was unable to get to the property. It was only me. There was no Sheila, there was no Ashley, no Justine. It was just me. And so I couldn't get there until the next day. Well, they ended up coming back the following morning. So they said, oh, don't worry about it. And I made sure that the realtor locked up the house. And by the time they got home, sucker was a bazillion degrees. Okay. And I did reach out, and sure enough, they did compensate. They compensated money for both the couch and the heat bill that would have taken place. And they were super apologetic. Nobody got hurt or anything like that. It was more an inconvenience. And apparently the sellers were going to get rid of the couch anyway.
It was just slightly melty.
Yes. But ever since that happened, we sometimes like to ask clients to, when they get home from an inspection, to make sure that all the doors are locked, because like inspectors are human. They're human, and they could accidentally, like the funniest one is when they flick the furnace button off by accident when they think they're about to turn on, and then the furnace doesn't work, and then the tech comes out and they flick the button back and charge a bunch of money. So, it happens. Right? Like it happens. So, of course, that kind of stuff occurs. Daniel, have you ever heard of that happening? Either like a team member, another inspector, or yourself? Have you ever accidentally left something on and been like, shoot,
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
That's that 3 to 4 times a year I'm talking about.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Humans are humans, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
like I say, if you actually do the math, it's a very, very low percentage rate of error.
Of
course.
Right? So in that situation, we've had that happen. When you get into enough houses and townhouses and so on, it can happen because there's so many things that we're doing.
Yes.
Hundreds of
Little things.
movements at every home we're doing, and trying to leave it exactly the way that we found it, right? So, definitely if we cause damage to a couch, we would offer to pay for it.
Yeah.
And definitely when that has happened, didn't damage a couch or anything like that. But, I always like to keep it in perspective, right?
Yeah.
A lady had gone away, and I actually left one of the baseboard heaters on. She had gone away for a couple of days, and, I got the call right away. I said, hey, no problem. Send me your hydro bills when they come in. We'll divide it up by the 30 days, and
Smart.
no problem. I'll pay the extra cost for those 2 days.
Yeah.
But putting it into perspective. And then, of course, give her like a $25 gift card to Starbucks. So right away in those situations, we take ownership and let them say, our apologies, sorry about that, because it does happen. And sometimes it's with the air conditioning as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
But,
It's a nice box in here.
it's very rare, though.
Yeah.
But right away, when it's something that we do, we just take ownership for
Own
it, in that situation. So
I'm loving these core values.
Yeah.
These all resonate with me. This is why we're friends, because they're core values that resonate big time. So that's really great, because things do happen. And like I said, we try to tell every homeowner that we have to check doors, even if it's after a showing or inspection or anything like that. Go around, check your thermostats, go around, check the doors, because like Daniel's saying, they have little tiny micro things that they flick, or things that they switch, or, because they got to test it. Right.
Yeah.
So if they're doing 20 things at once, don't jump down their throats too much if it's one little tiny thing, right?
Yeah.
And also when somebody's moving, they're in a high level of stress. And so while I'm like, I'd be super rational, I can tell you that if that was happening on top of a million other things, I might not be as calm, cool, and collected as I am talking to you in a podcast scenario.
Yeah.
See how this is what's so beautiful about this show, because it's the homeowner perspective that is like, you know, but I could see crazy seller.
Because things could build. It's like, well, one person didn't take off their muddy shoes in the house, and then one person like didn't flush their toilet or something, and
be
now
the 12th bad guy.
And I've been trying to sell my house for 9 months and keeping this place immaculate, and I know that teacup was not moved.
Yes.
Right, and you just get to that.
I love that you just used teacup.
Yes. Well,
okay, so last question of the day, Daniel, if you're willing to share.
Okay.
What's the craziest situation you've ever come across in a home inspection? But again, no agent names.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Crazy situation, and I'm going to say this was actually last summer.
Okay.
I walk into the house, nice home, you know, Fleetwood.
Sure.
Okay, you know, the price point, you know, big house,
Yeah.
right? Walk in, first thing I smell is incense. Okay? You know, not completely unusual, right? But as I went through the inspection, every room had incense burning, every single room.
wow.
And I'm like, you know what? I know something's right here, not right here.
Yeah.
Homeowners are hiding something, and the house didn't smell. It smelled not right.
Okay.
So I knew right away.
Okay.
And I knew it was either going to be, based on my experience, either the crawl space, which was a crawl space, you know, 30, 40-year-old home in Fleetwood, so, you know, or the attic, right? So the last thing I do in a house is a crawl space, because I might get a bit dirty, right? And I don't want to spread that around the house. I don't want to get yelled at by Jess, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And,
She can't like that when she doesn't have her coffee.
So get into the crawl space, easy, concrete, that sort of thing. And I literally see organic growth again, and literally a river running through this crawl space.
Oh, wow.
There was some sort of a leak from someplace. I don't know. Remember, inspectors, we identify the problems.
Yeah.
We don't determine everything, else we're going to be at a house all day.
Yeah.
But the homeowners, apparently they didn't know they had a problem. But I'm like, you got incense burning everywhere.
Yeah.
You knew your house didn't smell right. So organic growth, which is dirt, dust, debris, mildew. Remember, legally a home inspector can't say it's mold unless you got a lab result.
Right, of
Yeah.
course. Good
Organic growth. So I was in that crawl space for a very short period of time, because very easy for me to identify what's going on and look at
You're like,
things.
there it is.
Yeah.
Now I know why the home was sitting on the market for many, many, many months.
Well,
Okay.
I'm actually relieved you didn't say dead body serial killer.
Yeah.
These are always good points, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We watch Dateline.
We watch Dateline. You know, you're saying a smell in a
exactly.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, again,
Right.
extreme situation.
Yeah.
The listing agent, they didn't know.
Okay.
Needless to say, they didn't buy the home because there was so much going on with that house that it was too overwhelming for them.
Sure.
Yeah.
They didn't buy it. So it's probably still on the market or taken off the market.
Do you ever wonder? Do you ever want to see if it's sold or not?
Sometimes I do take a look to find out if it's still on the market, right? But I know that
Google.
they didn't buy it, that's for sure.
Right.
Because they bought another beautiful townhome. So they adjusted their
great.
expectations, their price point. They bought a nice townhome.
Rather than a
versus-
dumpy house.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love
So-
that. That's a happy story.
Yeah. So, so that's how I found out about that. But I'm still curious if that house has still not been sold yet. But there you
So
go.
if you're that listing agent, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so to sum up today's episode, hire a professional when you can. Home inspections are important. If you can do it, do it. Make sure you go around your house after the inspection, double check everything, understand that humans are humans.
Yeah.
And of course, realtors, make no mistake, your realtor does not work, your inspector does not work for your realtor. Okay, when we're suggesting hire realtors, because we want to have a professional. We don't want you to hire your Uncle Bob with some years of experience to come in because he built a house once.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really that's just not the way to go. So Daniel, thank you so much for coming. I really loved today that you shared enough of your core values that I can't see why anyone would not want to work with you,
Thank
because
you.
you're so fantastic. That's why we like working with you. That's why we recommend you, because you're fantastic. So let's end the podcast with our cheers.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
everyone. Thanks so much
Cheers.
for coming out. That was
Thank
fun.
you. Yeah, super fun. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Spilling the Tea, a real estate podcast with Kristy Massero and Shelagh Macek.